This video is brought to you by Vizeh Designs for the best football prints that you can get in the world. Link down below top of the description for any club, any league, any player. Code Xmas for 15% off. Harry Kane is up there with the most polarising players in world football. Despite being the top goal scorer in the England national team in its history, the most goals scored for Tottenham Hotspur in their history at the age of 30, and was well on his way of breaking Alan Shearer's Premier League goal record, he is still disrespected. Why? There's one word for it. Trophies. The cursed trophies word, and one that I feel great sympathy for, because for the most part it's not fully in his hands. However, at every opportunity, this has always evaded him, and at Bayern Munich, which is seen as the most guaranteed source of trophies, it may not be guaranteed either. Bayern Munich have just lost 5-1 away to Frankfurt, who by all means are not the same Frankfurt that we used to know them as. A Frankfurt that are 6th, but up to this game haven't won in 5. As it stands, are 3 points behind Bayer Leverkusen, who plays Stuttgart tomorrow. Also, in this season, Bayern Munich lost embarrassingly to a third-tier German side. Saarbrücken, I believe is how you say it, losing 2-1 to a 96th minute winner. Alongside that, losing 3-0 in the Super Cup, basically the Charity Shield, to Leipzig 3-0. Bayern Munich are the closest that you will ever get to guaranteed success, guaranteed trophies. However, so far they've already lost one final and are already out of the main cup. Therefore, they've only got 2 more trophies left: the Champions League and the Bundesliga. Harry Kane has always got a meme around him saying that he is cursed, and he has never won a trophy of any real importance in his career so far. And despite all of the stats, despite all of the accomplishments that he's achieved, but yet not one piece of silverware, which of course people always talk about because it's almost unheard of. How can you be this good? And Harry Kane is without a doubt the best striker, or like in the top 3 best strikers in the 21st century. I have belief in saying that. I have no issue saying that, honestly. And I know, I get it, people may scoff at me saying that, but in terms of longevity, in terms of a model professional, his professionalism, his actual ability in every single aspect, the most complete striker. But because he doesn't do a roulette, so he's not got incredible pace, people don't rate him as highly. I have no doubt in saying that. Tell me down below your thoughts on Harry Kane. Where do you rank him in terms of the all-time best strikers, or strikers in, let's say, the 21st century? Where exactly would you rank him? Because by speaking to German fans that I know that regularly, of course, watches the Bundesliga, they have been very impressed, very surprised actually by how good he actually is, because they hear what the English media says, they hear what fans on social media, and a lot of mockery goes towards Harry Kane because of this one thing: the lack of silverware. That is the main thing that people hold against him, and that's what everyone goes on about. So German fans think that he's a bit of a meme, so they are pleasantly surprised when they find that he is a unbelievable number 9. And this opens a conversation of how do we treat our own players, because again, a lot of fans across the world that's not from England kind of are very confused about the English media or the English fan, that we seem to always mock and try to just critique and criticize our own players, have a go at them more than anything else, and they have a different view on our players in comparison to us. The culture is very different, and you may be kind of confused by this, but again, speak to any fan outside of England, in France or in Italy or Germany, and especially if it's one of their own, a German player playing in Germany, they really respect and big up their players a lot more. They have a lot more respect for them. And in England, it's not really the case, and it's more about meme culture than anything else. And on Sky Sports and all these pundits, they go in at their players, which is something that doesn't really happen nowhere near as often in other media sources. And I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts on that, especially if you are from overseas, your thoughts on English fans or English media on our own players. But back to Harry Kane specifically. He's been incredible at Bayern Munich. I mean, here's some of the stats. He set a new league record in 18 goals in his first 12 Bundesliga game, something that Gerd Müller never even managed. In all competitions, 21 goals and 7 assists in 16 games, and currently is on course on breaking the Bundesliga goal record in 41 sets by Robert Lewandowski. And what I find most insane is that despite all these goals, Bayern Munich still are not top of the league, and alongside that, despite all these goals, only as of a week or so ago, he wasn't even a top goal scorer, as Stuttgart striker Guirassy was indeed ahead of him, as right now, Harry Kane's on 18 goals and Guirassy's on 16. But that almost made it insane to think of how can he score all these goals despite breaking records almost, and still not even be top goal scorer for most of the campaign so far, and also not even be top of the league, and also be knocked out of the cup. Despite the 5-1 loss to Frankfurt, they will likely bounce back, and Bayern Munich of course have won 10 Bundesliga titles in a row, and realistically it's only Bayer Leverkusen that can really put up a fight for the title. Leipzig are a bit too inconsistent, and Stuttgart I think are right now in a real good pepper patch, but despite falling apart a bit in mid-November, I don't think they can really maintain a title challenge. So really it's just Leverkusen and Bayern Munich, obviously. But is it really possible for them to not win the league this year? I mean, you never say never. Der Spiegel, who is by far the most creditable publisher in Germany, put out an article last week saying it's too early to say whether Kane is or will be the best Bayern centre forward there ever was, which is incredible comparisons when you're speaking of Gerd Müller or Robert Lewandowski in recent memory. There's already indications by German media that he can go down as the most complete and most varied centre forward of all time in Bayern Munich history. Which, is this a bit overblown? Well, it's hard to overstate his real impact on the team. Despite about 100 million euros spent, his goals, personality and leadership is important, and he is delivering. He's scoring the goals, but yet still not top of the league, which is just insane to think of. Bild, who is also another publisher, calls him King Kane, and he's already become Bayern Munich royalty. And you may be saying this, does he play any differently to how he played for Spurs? And realistically, not really. His willingness to drop deep still maintains, just like how he did for Spurs or England, and he helps Bayern Munich defend from the front and create space for wide players running beyond him. And he's key to how they want to attack. He's a superstar player who's happy to work and do the hard yards for his team, and sometimes that isn't always guaranteed. The term luxury player, most commonly used for players that are PSG, like Neymar and Mbappe and Messi, and you can't have too many of these luxury superstars because typically if they're a superstar they have ego and they won't put the hard yards in comparison to someone else who may not have that type of quality, and Kane is the opposite of that. Kane is a model professional, possibly the most professional footballers that we've seen in recent memory, especially in this new era of football in comparison. He kind of looks like a player that belongs in the 2000s. When you really want to compare him, you want to compare him to a Vieri, a Inzaghi, maybe a bit of an Alan Shearer in there as well. He feels like he's old-fashioned almost, that he kind of doesn't belong in this era. By no means because of the topic of this video am I disrespecting him, of course. I love Harry Kane. I think that he's a fantastic player and a fantastic person, and that's something that isn't always guaranteed in this space. However, you cannot deny that it's getting a bit weird how this curse is actually getting a bit more real, and I hope for his sake that he does. I really hope. However, there will be a lot of eyes on Bayern Munich this year just for this one situation alone. When he was at Spurs, people used two different arguments in terms of, was he really a curse? Because people would say that the teams that he was in was never really a team that was really good enough to, well, ever win the league, obviously, but to win the cups, I mean, when you're facing up against cities and Liverpool's in this time period, it's really hard to challenge, and I get that. However, in the opportunities that he's had in the finals, people kind of always want to say that he's not really scored at all, really. Champions League final, wasn't the greatest game for him. But to be fair, a lot of people do say that he was forced back in the team. As remember, he was injured prior to that, so there was a lot of people thinking that he wasn't even fit to play that game anyway. League Cup final against City, again, wasn't a great performance for the team all round. Neither was it for Harry Kane. And you can also kind of push it for England, of course, in a Euro final. It wasn't a great game all round, but also may say that that was due to the fault of Southgate and his tactics. That's a conversation for a different video, to be fair. Harry Kane has played in 13 separate semi-finals and finals with only 3 goals. For a player with incredible quality, people do suggest that he should be doing better in the big moments. Big game player is a term that is coined for many footballers, the most commonly known as Didier Drogba, and that is something that people have been saying is missing from Harry Kane. Despite how good he is, when it really matters, does he really show up? By the way, the Champions League's got 4 goals in 5 games, and they are going to make it out, but I don't think there's too many expectations on them making it too far in a competition. But hey, I guess you never know. To me, as just a dumb, normal fan, it feels like almost this Bayern Munich transfer is like a loan, so to say, and that he'll go there for 2 years, I doubt longer than 2 years, as he is really close to beating that Premier League record, and I can't see a world where he wouldn't want to come back relatively soon. Alan Shearer with 260 goals. Harry Kane with 213. Realistically, Harry Kane is expected to quite comfortably hit 15 or maybe even 20 odd goals in a season. So there lies the question. That's at least 2-3 seasons where he has to be at his top level of his game. And as long as he maintains himself, there's no reason to say that he can't break that record. However, sooner rather than later, I think we all guarantee that he will be back at Spurs in 2 years' time. I mean, I doubt he'd be at a different club in the Premier League other than Spurs. So here's my question to you. Do you think Harry Kane will have history look down on him a bit if he does not win a trophy? As the question is, Alan Shearer is always lauded as the best Premier League striker, and most people never even seen him play, but the goal record spoke for itself. However, Alan Shearer never really won many trophies at all. He won 1 Premier League at Blackburn Rovers, which most people not even just doesn't really mention that trophy, but kind of just glosses over the fact he was there in the first place. So are people just kind of going over the top in terms of how important a trophy really is? And I think that is really the case. I think that a trophy doesn't make you. However, at least Alan Shearer had that, right? And Harry Kane hasn't yet, which is still insane to say. Again, I feel bad bringing this up because I kind of add more weight to it by talking about it more. However, this is now crunch time. If they do not win anything this year by Munich, then that has to be proof of something. It's got to be. Scientifically, it has to be. So yeah, Harry Kane, just please win something, lads, so people can shut up. I wish you the best. See ya.